Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Omar Faruqi and we're back with another webinar, and this time it's a very specific topic, something that came out in your own suggestions, and something that my special guest today also suggested, because it's something that people normally ignore, and it's something that is very important to all of us. Being an HR professional, there are a lot of times people come for the interview, they have great technical knowledge, the way they conduct the interview is great, the way they do behavioral part is great, the way they introduce themselves is great, but the body language and the voice and the tone is off. So sometimes if you guys already know there's a lot of competition, and then you have to decide, and then you're like, okay, which person is a better cultural fit for our organization, or which person should I take my bet on? And then that's where these specific things come in play, and that's why the topic for today: perfecting your body language and your voice in your interviews. So for this session is going to be for 1 hour. 45 minutes we're going to spend on the topic, and then 10 to 15 minutes we're going to take questions, but we're going to finish it in 1 hour. We have to keep it crisp and we have to keep it precise. So whatever questions you have, try to keep it relevant to this topic. If you have any other questions, you can ask me separately, or you can ask Taher bhai separately. But for the sake of those people who have joined in, and for the sake of just to manage time, I would please request you guys to be very precise about your questions and related to this topic, if you have experienced anything that you would like to share and would like to get guidance on. So our special guest for today, you guys already know him, Taher bhai, Taher Hussain Khan, all the way from London. It's so sweet of him to take out time. In fact, he's the one who suggested this topic, because he does a lot of counseling, he does a lot of consulting, and with his experience of around 28 years in CV writing, in behavioral interviewing, in presentation skills, in coaching, not just in Pakistan but in Europe as well, he suggested this topic, and I just couldn't agree more, because people obviously have a lot of suggestions about different topics. And previously I've done presentation skills with him, done a CV, one on CV writing as well. But this is very specific, and he said, I really want to address people on this topic. So without further ado, I would like to invite Taher bhai over here. Assalamu alaikum, Taher bhai, kya haal hai?
Walaikum Salam, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today yet again.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be helping everybody, and working with you is an honor for me.
It's an honor for us to have you. Trust me, the last time we had a session, and people have been asking me, when can we have a session again with Taher bhai? And I've been like, okay, I'll ask him. And finally, today is the day. I hope people benefit from this, and I hope you have a great time as well interacting with.
Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward.
Yeah. So, Taher, generally, if I ask you, what do you think about this topic? I know, like, you suggested it, and I know it's a very important topic, but a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of viewers right now, I want them to understand the importance of it, the topic. And it's a lot of time people ignore this topic. They're like, okay, this is something that we are already good at. We don't have to work on it, or things like that. They don't focus on it that much. So, what do you think is the importance of this?
They're cool. Let's keep this. I'll be real with everybody. Whatever I say, okay, is based on experience, okay, and having been exposed to different scenarios and situations, going for interviews as an interview, and as an interviewer. Not only that, I want to reiterate the opinions I share. A lot of the opinions are based on a lot of the people who I've interacted with in big companies. If we take multinational names, Engro is one of the largest I worked with. Yeah, ICI, United Energy, जो पहले British Petroleum था, Jazz, Telenor, and even local companies. If we talk about Pakistan specifically, having National Foods, Service, US Apparel, Sapphire Fibers. So the opinions I share and what I say is based on what people actually say to me and what we discuss during sessions, and also generally. ये जो body language है, the reality is, if you don't deliver your message in the most effective manner, or most engaging manner, in the most persuasive manner, in the most influential manner, the other person will not be impressed. It's as simple as that. So one of the feedbacks I often get, and not only so, it's the way you say things, right? And that's through your non-verbal gestures, which is your body language, and your verbal, okay, your verbal skills, your linguistic skills. These are the two areas which are heavily influence the decision makers, especially when going for interviews. I visit a lot of universities, and as you know, I coach a lot of very senior people, and problems seem to be very similar, just the depth is different. So this topic is critical, and we spoke last time, ये जो तैयारी की हम बात करते हैं, the preparation element, knowing how to use your body, knowing how to say certain things, how to behave in a certain way during an interview is also part of your preparation. So today is about giving practical advice on how to use your verbal and non-verbal behavior in order to influence the decision maker. So you basically leave in a positive note, whether you get the job or not, but you leave in a positive note. Okay?
So yeah, so verbal and non-verbal gestures. This is something that I remember. I think I had a discuss. So Taher and I have been associated for the past 3 years, and I remember having this discussion with him when he was working with us with Engro for behavioral interviewing skills training, and this was something that he mentioned again and again: the body language and the voice and the tone and the verbal and non-verbal part. And this has been stuck in my mind, and I'm glad I'm having this webinar today so that you guys can also benefit from what he had to say. Taher, if I may ask you, how do you think companies or managers are influenced by this? If I have to, let's say, compare with the behavioral part or the introduction part or the technical knowledge or the soft skills, the leadership competence that the person possesses. So why would managers get influenced by the body language and the tone, and why not the thing that is required to get the job done?
Okay, that's a very good question. Dekho, remember we spoke about this before. We mentioned about first impression. Okay. So what happens when somebody first meets somebody, they start forming an impression about them, an opinion. And often a lot of the things which basically create that opinion and impression is the way the person speaks and the way the person is dressed or the way the person is using non-verbal gesturing. This is one of the main tools people use to form a first impression. Masail Tor. Let's say you walk into an interview, I'm just saying, you walk into an interview and you're dressed, let's say, scruffy. You don't even open your mouth. Within the first few seconds, what do you think what's the interviewer going to think? If the person is not dressed appropriately, scruffy, dirty, someone's not combed their hair properly, or someone's not looked after their beard, it's all over the place, or what do you think? Abata, what do you think interviewer is going to think? What's the impression?
The first impression is going to be the person probably doesn't take care of himself or herself and is not disciplined, probably.
Yeah, so that means many things, but that's some of the things. So therefore, straight away, the person has this thought in their mind. So this is now already affecting their thought process, and it also starts directing their line of questioning, their line of thinking. They're going to create biases in their mind without even asking questions, just by observation. So you see how important it is to do things correctly through your non-verbal and verbal behavior. So, and also when they're looking at you, the way you're talking, the way you're sitting, the way you're expressing yourself, they're imagining you also within the organization. ये जो बंदा है, मैं तो छोटी example है. You don't smile. Straight away they start forming an opinion. This person doesn't smile, so it could mean many things. You're friendly, nahi. You're serious hai. This person is, doesn't really like working with certain environments. So straight away they're going to think that. And then obviously they're not going to be able to match that behavior with what you're looking for. And then before you know it, we're not interested. Even though they may have the good skills, they may be well versed in their subject. I'm just giving you a small example, how one thing, just part of non-verbal behavior, can affect someone's thinking. Clusters में लोग भी देखते हैं, individually भी देखते हैं. Some companies even have psychologists coming into interviews to actually observe verbal and non-verbal behavior. That's how important it is, because they start forming an opinion about somebody.
And yes, I can definitely relate to it, because being an HR professional, the interviews that I've conducted with my and in my limited knowledge, I definitely have gone through so many interviews in which I have started forming opinions. And at the same time, Tahir Bhai keeps telling me to smile again and again, because it's just the face that I have. It's a poker face that I have. But he keeps telling me that the impression is very important. For example, if you're going for an interview, and especially if you're live in front of hundreds of viewers, you should smile, or you should give first impression, because if people know you, they'll probably be fine. If people don't know you, they might have different impressions. So, Tahir, thank you so much, because I keep getting free advice. That's the advantage that I have because of my relationship with Tahir, and it has helped me a lot. It just helps my mood as well. It just smiling. I'm not smiling like showing my teeth, but I'm just it just I think it probably gives the viewers a positive vibe as well. Okay, what's happening and how the conversation is going.
Very good, Umar. You're doing very well.
Yeah. Last time Taibai told me to put a sticker on my laptop to that reminds me to smile.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Umar, I'm full of practical. They may be very simple advice, but it's very practical,
Yeah.
and that is something which, whenever I do my trainings or coaching, I really focus heavy on practical things.
So, since you mentioned the practical things, and this was something that I wanted to ask you. So, what are the practical tips that you would recommend? Like how to
Okay,
use the body language and how to use the voice?
okay. Let's get down to business now, okay, Umar? And I hope everybody's writing this down and taking note. All right. I hope you're all taking notes on this. Ask as many questions as you can in the time we have. Therefore, first thing is first. How do you give that positive first impression? When you first walk into the interview room, okay, let's assuming you're walking into the room. I mean, the principles, there'll be similar principles if you're doing video interviews, but we'll talk about the face-to-face as if you're in person, but then you can connect it to video interviews as well. Right at the beginning. So what's the first thing people notice when you walk into the interview room? What do you as a manager, what do you notice? First thing you notice about a candidate? पहली चीज आप क्या notice करते हैं?
I the body language, actually, for me personally, how the person.
What aspect of body language do you notice at very early stage?
So the confidence that the person has, if the person is having eye contact with me, or is trying
Right.
to shake hands with me, or how the person is greeting me. Yeah.
Okay, good. So the first thing people notice initially is the clothing. Because your attire, your dressing, the way you look is part of body language. Pehli cheez ye hai. I'm just saying the things first, and then we'll go into, in more details, some advice. So the attire, they notice the way you walk. They notice your posture, the way you stand, your posture. They notice your facial expressions, if you're smiling or not, for example. Okay. They're even noticing your hands, if you're hiding them or if they're open. They can also notice your handshake, the way you shake the hand, if it's man to man, especially in our part of the world, in Pakistan, for example, or in Muslim countries. So these are the primary things people notice, okay? And obviously how you sound as well when you start speaking. But initially, it's all your non-verbal things. They're actually forming an opinion about you. It doesn't matter whether you're a graduate or whether you've got 30 years experience. It's all being looked at. It's all being looked at. So those things I just mentioned to you are the critical things. What people are noticing, not only at the beginning, throughout the interview, but these are the initial things people will start taking note. And remember, first impressions last. You don't get a second chance to give a first impression. A lot of people spoil it for themselves. For example, again, what do you want me to talk? You want me to go into specifics now? on how to walk in, how to sit at the beginning. Would you like me to? How would you like me to do this?
Yeah, so we're just focusing on the practical tips, however you
Right.
want to take it.
Okay. Listen, everybody, carefully. When you walk into the room, you walk in confidently. Now, what does confidently mean? You smiling, your posture is straight, your stomach is in, your chest is slightly out, your arms are relaxed. Not like a sergeant major, but relaxed posture. You're smiling. You give eye contact. Remember, these are very important tips for people. You give eye contact. You obviously shake hands if it's man to man, for example. And when you shake hands, we have different types of handshakes. You know, we have the weak ones are classed. You could have a wet fish. They shake hands like this with a soft hand. We call this the wet fish handshake. Some people, what they do is they shake their hand, but they grip somebody so tight, this is known as the iron grip handshake. Okay. Obviously, there are other types of handshakes, but the one way basically is recommended is that you basically put your right foot forward and your arm out, and it's palm to palm. Okay, you shake palm to palm with a firm grip. You smile, you look in the eye, okay, and then you do the greeting. Okay, doesn't matter whether you are 6'10" or whether you're 5'1". The principles are the same. That's how you meet somebody. And then you wait for the interviewer to tell you to sit down. Okay? Would you like me to also address at this stage, at the meeting, in the initial stage, when there's a female walks in, especially in the Muslim world, would you like me to address something there, or should we wait till after?
Yeah, if you can, because I saw a question over as well. Is it fine to shake hands, or how do?
Okay,
is it applicable to women as well? Yeah.
Okay, ladies, if you don't have a problem and some gentleman offers, then you don't have a problem, right? Then it's not a dialogue. If you're not comfortable for your own reasons, religious reasons, cultural reasons, then you don't have to offer your hand. You just gesture. Okay, and in that part of the world, people gesture with like this, or they just nod, or they just smile with a slight gesture forward. People don't get offended because you don't shake hands. People normally get offended when they're not acknowledged. When people don't acknowledge them, that's when the offense comes in. So don't feel obliged if someone does put their hand out. Don't feel obliged. Okay.
And Tabe, one more thing, since you're mentioning about the time when the person enters the room and how to meet the interviewer, you also mentioned about body attire. So can we?
I think. Yeah. Well, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to go neutral. So you work for Engro, and I've been in your building a million times, and I worked with nearly a lot of the senior management team, a lot of the HR people, a lot of the CEOs I've worked with, the CFOs. As a general rule, what do you like to see? How do you like to see a man dressed? Let's start with a man, and then we can suggest. We can suggest. I mean, these are not hard and fast rules, but these are suggestions. Okay.
So generally, to be safe, we wear white shirt with with a navy blue or a black pant, or even a khaki. But we prefer, if we're going for interviews or even in office, if we have a meeting or a presentation, we prefer wearing white shirts with obviously with a belt. Some people don't even wear belts as well, and belt and shoes must be matching in color. That's something that I personally vouch for as well. So that's the safe way that we go. And if you want to put on a blazer, if you're wearing a black pant, then obviously with a white shirt, mostly any blazer can go. So that's the safe thing that we do.
Bas, Tika. Listen, I'm going to tell everybody again, and I keep reminding, if whatever you wear, then Umar has given you a suggestion for men, and we can suggest for women as well. The main thing is it clean? No one's interested in the brands you are wearing. If you're wearing branded clothing or branded whatever, shoes, jumpers, whatever you're wearing, tie, jacket, shirts, it's about being clean and appropriate. So is your clothes pressed? Are your shoes polished? Is your hair combed? Is your beard in some order? If you do shave, have you shaved properly? Are you smelling appropriately? And this goes for male and female. Okay. I have sat in a lot of interviews, okay, worldwide. And I have, sorry to say this, but this is real what I'm telling you. Many people have come in and they smell quite strong in a negative sense. So body odor का इतना smell आता है. And after the interviewer asks me, and I'm just observing, could you smell that? Or did you realize, should I have said something to them? You know, this is a dialogue we have after the interview. Now, there could be many reasons why the body odor. You know, obviously in that part of the world, you eat a lot of spicy food. Spicy food causes more odor in the body. So I'm warning everybody now, you know, take care of your personal hygiene, because interviewers talk about this after, and it does affect their decisions, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. And on the other extreme, you have some people who walk into interviews who put so much spray on, so much perfume, the other person, the smell is so strong and people's eyes start burning. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं. So we have two extremes. So use deodorant, but lightly. Use perfume, but lightly. Ladies, if you're going to use makeup, use lightly. Okay? Use everything lightly, and that should be fine. Anything strong will bring unaware attention. You don't want that. Okay? Somebody's mentioned here the language thing. I knew this would come up. I'm going to repeat what I said. I was actually writing some stuff down. Dekho, when you go for an interview, whether it's in English, Urdu, Punjabi, Arabic, Turkish, Spanish, German, whichever language, ideally, whatever language they start with, you should follow. As a general rule, you should follow that language which they are starting with. Now, I know in Engro, for example, and ICI, and in Mobilink, Jazz, Telenor, you know, these kind of organizations, they will often start in English. I've been to some companies, for example, Service, National Foods, US Apparel, Sapphire Textiles, they will sometimes start in Urdu. So you speak back in Urdu. Simple as that. Okay? That's all I want to say at that stage about the language.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So the dress part, yeah. So we, as long as it's, so the general rule is as long as it's appropriate, and the other things that you mentioned, if it's not, you've taken care of your personal hygiene, your hair is combed, your beard is in order, you're smelling appropriately, there's nothing too extra, it's just normal. You don't want to be over inside there.
Yes.
So,
very, very, very important.
And Taher, so let's so once the person sits and then starts giving the introduction. So So what do you have to say?
Okay. Now obviously now your linguistic skills are being challenged. पहली चीज ये है, whichever language you use the best articulation. Somebody just said, do we say salam or hello? Chalo, let's address that, because that is the initial stage. If I'm saying salam to you, then naturally, in the cultural sense, we normally say wa alaikum assalam. If someone says hello to you, well, it's your shout, isn't it? Because it's more of a belief thing here as well. So some people just say hello. Koi log khud assalamu alaikum kehte hain. That's your personal choice. I personally, if you're asking me what do, I will use that terminology which the other person uses, generally, as a general rule. but it's your personal choice. If you want to say salam to someone who says hello, that's up to you. Okay, I mean, this could be a debate going into a different angle here, but as a general rule. Okay, all right. So what did you ask me? Remind.
I was asking you once the person starts with introduction.
Okay. So how do you sit down in an interview? How do you sit? So I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me clearly?
Yeah.
So whatever I'll give you some negative postures. So let's give some demonstration, a bit of fun. Achha. So some people sit like this. Okay, man, I've got negative and आप बताओ, audience, what do you think this shows you? What do you think, Umar? What is it showing you if I sit like, whether you're an interviewer or interviewee? What does it tell you?
You're just blocking me. Like, I don't know if I should. I'm scared to ask. Very relaxed. Like,
I have seen this, by the way.
Really?
I've seen it from someone from your university back in 2005. I was doing an interview, sitting like this in an interview. कोई अस्तर बंदा भी बैठे सी, अस्तर भी बैठे सी, अस्तर भी लोग बैठते हैं. पता नहीं इनका क्या दिमाग खराब है या क्या मसला है. So some people cross their legs. I don't know if you can see my legs, but they cross their legs going like this totally. All right. And they're just sitting like this. Some people like this. Shati nakal ke. They don't even have a chest and they're sticking their chest out.
Yeah.
So these are typically negative. I mean, it could come across as casual. You can come across as arrogant, closed, tight. Because they're nervous as well. So this is a negative. So how should you sit? Best practice says you sit slightly forward from your chair. I'm sitting on a chair right now, okay? My chair, my back. I'm actually on a proper chair. So I'm leaning slightly forward now whilst talking to you. I'm leaning slightly forward on my chair. Isko kehte hain attentive posture. A forward leaning posture. It's known as an attentive posture. It shows you're open. It shows you're interested. It shows you want to have dialogue. Okay. All right. So slightly forward. Now, what do you do with your hands as you are sitting there and you're starting a dialogue? Well, some people, what they do is they put their hands where they can be seen, so above the table. Sometimes table bhi nahi hote. Some people put their hands on their laps, so you can put your hands on your lap. The main thing is I personally always like to keep my hands visible, so it doesn't put any doubt in the mind of the interviewer. Where's his hands gone? What is he doing? What is he trying to hide? Keep your hands visible and ready to gesticulate when you speak, and we'll talk more about hands in a minute. Okay? So keep your hands visible and open. Avoid any defensive, closed postures. कोई ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं hands को grip भी करते हैं, becomes very tight. Again, this could also be perceived as someone who is, nervous or tight, doesn't want to open up. Okay? So I'm just talking about the posture here at this stage. Okay?
Great. I've given a lot of interviews. I've taken a lot of interviews, and every time I listen to you, and it's a new learning for me. So I remember, like, I use my hands to give gestures a lot. But previously, I used to, keep it on my lap, or sometimes when initially I used to be nervous, I used to keep it in my pocket as well. And then later I realized it was actually out of nervousness. But later I realized it's not the right thing to do. And I think people do it normally because they're not aware.
Okay. So how do you put your hands on the table? This is a good question. Okay, so I don't mean you put your hand. I personally don't put your hands like this, like flat onto the table like this. It looks a bit strange and it's a bit rigid. What I generally encourage people to do is put your hands like this on the table. Lean your hands onto the table like this. So place them on the table like this, so you can move them freely. Okay, as you speak. And again, I repeat, when you do gesture, you do not gesture for the sake of gesturing. The gesturing has to be purposeful and meaningful. Which countries may, if you go to Italy, you go to Spain, the southern European country, they gesticulate really fast. Hispanics भी करते हैं. Pakistan is a bit of a mix. Iran is a bit more controlled, I would say, for example. All right. Germany is a bit more controlled. UK is a mix. So keep your hands on the table. Like this could be one way, like this could be another way, as long as you can move them, okay, openly. Okay, so I hope that answered that question. Watch out. What else?
Yeah. So okay, the gesture part is there, and when you're giving the interview, this is something that I face every time. When you're giving the interview, so the person needs to have eye contact all the time, and if
Okay,
not,
excellent question. So, Bali Jizia here, let's go into why should you give eye contact? So, it's a rhetorical question, let me answer. Eye contact shows you are confident. Eye contact shows you got nothing to hide. Eye contact shows you are comfortable. Eye contact shows you are friendly. Eye contact shows you believe in what you are saying. So they're the positive elements of giving eye contact. And obviously, if you're not giving eye contact, it could potentially mean, maybe you're nervous, you're not comfortable, maybe you're lying, or you're not telling the whole truth. You don't want to be there. You're not interested, and you will ultimately disengage your interviewer. So they're the negatives of not giving, and they're the positives of giving. Now, as you are having a dialogue, you can't always look at someone in the eye. Otherwise, they might think you're a psycho. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं, they just stare you in the eye. You're thinking, well, I think this person needs a doctor, not a job. So the secret is you look in the eye, and then if you want to break away from the eye, you look around the forehead, this part of the face, up to the chin area, okay? But not directly in the eye. Just focus around these areas, okay? All right, that's how you do it. So it keeps looking in the facial area, but not directly into the eye. If someone starts looking at someone in the eye, well, you're not going to last very long. You will come across as creepy, freaky. Someone like, whoa, isko pata nahi kya masla hai. How did he or she get this interview?
yeah, this happened with me. There was this candidate. He was smiling, and he had, like 100% of the time he had this eye contact. It was so creepy. I didn't know what was up with him.
मैं आपको मजे की चीज बताता हूँ. Once I was interviewing this Irish guy in London, and ये बहुत पुरानी बात है, for a senior sales position. He was a graduate. Came in the interview. He started looking at me, staring at me in the eye. Yeah, like really. I thought, what's he been smoking? And he just kept staring at me. Then he started copying me in my movements. After about 10 minutes, I said, excuse me, what's going on? Thomas. I'll never forget him. I go, Thomas, why are you copying exactly? Why are you staring at me? And I couldn't resist it. I had to ask him. And he said, well, I read it in a book. If you mirror and match the interviewer, you build rapport. And I said, yeah, okay. For about 5 seconds, but not for like 20 minutes. So the funny thing was, I did end up hiring, by the way, incidentally. I mean, he did a good interview, but it was just at the early stages when I cross-questioned him, and he ended up becoming the national account director. Stayed with the company for 15 saal. He became one of the top performers, and I was the one who hired him. So that I thought I'd just share that with you. People go to extremes as well, but I was generous in my interviewing in those days.
And
so,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, so that's eye contact, okay? So maintain eye contact throughout your interview as much as you can. If you want to disengage eye contact, focus around the facial areas. So at least it still shows you're engaged with the person. And obviously, if you're doing panel interviews, try to give everybody even eye contact, But jab ek banda aapko swal originally put that focus on that person and answer, and then as you are continuing your conversation, keep trying to move a little bit to the different interviews to keep them engaged as well. So that's eye contact.
Great. And Taher, when the person is giving the interview, so obviously the person is nervous as well, and because of nervousness, and at the same time you have to articulate and you have to think about what to say. You have to make sentences.
Okay.
Yeah. So a problem that normally comes and that I've faced as well is a person becomes monotonous. And so how to address that? Because I think, like you mentioned in the beginning, you have to be very articulate, and I think you have to write tone as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll go more into the voice, but let's first address that, what you said about, let's step back a little bit here. A lot of the people, they're nervous. And a lot of the verbal and non-verbal behavior actually shows the person is nervous. Hands are shaking, the body is you're fidgeting, your legs are shaking, the legs are shaking. You start sweating, your hands are sweaty, okay? The voice is shaky, you're speaking very fast. All of these can be interpreted, the person is nervous. Now, how can we control those nerves? Because you need to control those in order to show positive indicators for your verbal and non-verbal behavior. So, some very simple tips to help you control your nerves. Very simple. Number one, breathe. Breathe through your nose, out from your mouth. This will help you control anxiety levels. Okay? Brings people's blood pressure down as well. Pehli cheez ye hai. Dusri cheez ye hai. Again, if we go one step even back, have a good night's sleep. Have a light breakfast. Okay? These are practical things which we sometimes forget. Okay, avoid fizzy drinks, anything which is going to make your mouth dry. Drink plenty of water, that will calm you down. Do a bit of exercise before you go in the morning. Get your blood circulating. Feel good. Feel good. Visualize success. Visualize before you've even gone to the interview that you're going to get the job. Remind yourself, psychologically remind yourself that you've got just as much chance as anybody. Because if you are not in a positive state of mind, it will show. And your body language will show that. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं, उनका substance कम होता है, लेकिन उनका delivery इतना अच्छा होता है, the other person is convinced, the other person is the right person for the job, purely on the way they deliver the message, even though maybe what they were saying didn't have much substance. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं. Okay, so keep talking to yourself. You can do it. I can do it. Why not? I can do it. There's no, nothing can stop me. If it's not this one, the next one. If it's not the next one, it's the next one. Keep believing in yourself. Just like a football player out there. Every match they go into, if they don't believe they're going to win it, they'll probably lose. Belief. Visualize success. Breathe. Meditate. Do some exercise. Before the interview, you need to be as relaxed as possible. The more relaxed you are, the more positive behaviors you will display. The more confident you will sound. Your voice will be clearer. You will speak slower. You will speak more clearly. And I repeat, articulation is so important, whichever language you use. Do not use the same language you would use in an interview you would with your friends. I mean, slang. Avoid slang words. I mean, you can share some slang. I'm sure you can, Omar.
I think everyone can share some slang, but
yeah, well, obviously. So why don't we ask people to share some slang? But maybe some of those words you may destroy this family show. So we have to be a bit careful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But some of the slangs that we as HR professionals it's not slang per se, but like using abbreviations for things. For example, uh, if you're saying bro in an interview, referring to someone, or just talking very casually, or even if you're talking in Urdu and you use, I don't want to use them over here, but people use different, very localized language, which is considered slang. Not, I'm not referring to abuses or a curse. I'm just saying slang words. For example, even if you say "kasam se,"
Yeah,
this is what
kasam
I'm trying
se.
to say.
Kasam
This,
se.
this is what people do. So, in a conversation, because we're used to it, and probably I will use the same, but in a different setting. So, yeah,
Okay, one second. Boss, can you open the window, please? Garmi lagi hai. Ekdam
is it
garmi ho
not?
gayi hai. Yeah, it's sunny here. It's sunny in London. It's just suddenly gone warm inside. We have four seasons in within half a day here. Very common in the
And then
UK.
suddenly it starts raining, then it's sunny. That's what happens over there.
Acha, so what are considered positive verbal behaviors or vocal skills? पहली चीज ये है the speed of your voice. Don't कोशिश करना not to speak too fast. Because if you speak too fast, what's going to happen?
The interviewer is not going to understand you, and
पहली चीज ये है. दूसरी चीज ये है that maybe they think you're nervous. Thirdly, they're going to think, if this person is working in our company and he speaks like Speedy Gonzalez, दूसरों को मेरी समझ आ लेगी, हमारे मसले हो जाएंगे. Okay? You could be seen as a know-it-all, which could also be taken as a potential negative. So speak appropriately. Pause when you speak. And by the way, if you give more eye contact, automatically you notice people slow down. Okay? And again, the breathing will help you. Breathing will help you before the interview to help you slow you down in your speech. Okay? पहली चीज ये. दूसरी चीज ये है, आपने कोशिश करना to fluctuate your pitch and tone. A lot of people, junior and senior, their voice is very monotone. इसको monotone कहते हैं. इसका pitch बिल्कुल एक लाइन में होता है. You know, when somebody dies, well, when someone is alive, their heart rate on the monitor goes doot, 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 doot. यही होता है ना? And when somebody dies, what happens to the monitor? उसको आवाज क्या होता है? Monotone. So you can use that analogy. If you've got a monotone voice, you will kill people. And for the students who just are at university, or the lecturers used to kill you. They were the most boringest lecturers in the world. They were the most boringest lecturers in the world because they were so monotony. And you find normally your monotone hote na, they don't smile as much. So when you smile, automatically your pitch and tone starts fluctuating, and you become more engaging, persuasive, interesting, and you find the interviewer will want to hear you, will want to ask you more questions, will want to engage with you. So your pitch and tone भी बहुत important चीज है. So articulation का भी जिक्र हो गया, speed का भी हो गया, modulation का भी हो गया, and obviously how loud you speak, the projection of your voice, the volume. Obviously, you don't want to speak too loud, otherwise you're going to come across as someone who's aggressive, not appropriate. Okay? And on the other hand, if you speak too quietly, if you speak very quietly, they're going to think, you're a bit timid, you're a bit softer. Eat it to आगे, cookie. ऐसे मैंने बहुत देखा, and I've even had to tell people, speak up a bit. I'm not going to eat you. Speak up. So, It's very important. You know.
Have you ever said that to a person? Like, "ये तो आ गया है cookie."
uh, yeah, well, you know, well, I'm a bit interesting. You know, my style is quite unorthodox. I have done it, yes, but I don't advocate it to managers out there or any leaders. I have told people to speak up and maybe done a few little extra things just to liven up the scenario. But obviously, I don't advocate that. But then I'm a little bit different. I'm a bit unorthodox, as you know.
That's what the Jamal has to say. Listen to Taher Bhai for the first time. What a character.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you stay 2 weeks or 3 weeks at home. This is the outcome.
No.
Acha. So that's to do with your voice. Acha, दूसरी चीज़ ये है. I just like to reiterate. Not when you are listening, because active listening is also important, right? Active listening जो कहते हैं. बोलने का verbally and non-verbally. Also, your listening skills are critical when you as an interviewee. ये जो हम बात करें ना, eye contact, posture, the way the orientation, the facial expressions, opening of the hands, all of these things are known as active listening techniques, and it shows the other person that you are listening. So these are verbal and non-verbal behaviors. Okay. अच्छा, दूसरी चीज ये है regarding what comes out of your mouth. How do I know you are listening through what I say? I will, well, couple of things, verbal and non-verbal, extra ones I will add in. पहली चीज ये है, people nod. So if you're a candidate and the interviewer is talking to you, nod, shows you're listening. Nodding के साथ लोग ये भी कहते हैं, हाँ, ठीक है, बिल्कुल, I know, I understand. Using these are known as verbal encouragers. ठीक है? Very, very important, okay? Asking, if you don't understand a question, ask again. Please, can you repeat the question? Ask. Bolo, I don't understand. Please, can you repeat? Or can you rephrase? Or whatever, if you don't understand. Okay, there's no harm in that. It shows you have listened. All right?
Great, Taher Bhai. So we've discussed about the verbal and non-verbal communications from the point when you enter the room, how you should be dressing up, how when you sit, what posture you need to have, what body language you need to have, how fluctuation in your voice is important. You want to add anything to this before we move on to the questions? Or you think this is the...
Yeah, let me just check. If you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen around the world, let me just check my notes. Let me just see if I've had anything else.
I'll read the...
Yeah, you read the comments and I'll see if anything else I had mentioned, I must mention. I think most of the things. So remember, everybody, it's if you want to make impact, the impact is on the way you say it, which is what we are basically talking about. ऐसे लोग होते हैं, a lot of good people come in for interviews, they cannot articulate their message in a strong way or in a very influential way, in a persuasive way. And they're normally put to one side. Now, Engro, for example, they highly stress on communication skills. And that is basically what we are talking about. वो देखते हैं. They do get impressed with good English. Let's not pretend. All companies do. Fact. I've worked in Europe. Portuguese, Spanish, Germans, Finnish. Okay? French, English. If they speak good English, they do impress the interviewer, irrespective of which country they're from. Pakistan is no different. Even in a country like Iran now, I do a lot of work in Iran. They interview, a lot of companies interview in English, even though that's not one of the main languages they speak, even as a second language. So Fact is, if you speak well, it does make a difference. It does have an impact, whether you like it or not. That is a fact. And that was the same even in England. If I'm speaking poor English or poor articulation, obviously the interview ये किधर से आ गया? ये किस गांव से आ गया? And I'm proud to say it, I'm from a village. And I'm proud of it. And I love going to the village, and I visit my village regularly, and I lie down on a manji, okay? And I do go in the fields, all right? With my cows, with my goats, with my chickens. And I do the nalka. I love it.
You never invited me over there.
Well, everyone's invited. Northern Punjab, okay? Sarai Alamgir is the name of the town, and my village is called Mamazpur, and everybody's welcome.
Okay, guys, after this session, let's discuss it in the WhatsApp group. Let's
Yes.
make a plan. And
You come
have
then,
to be a good host.
we'll do a couple of days excursion in the fields.
That would be great. Getting fresh chicken, fresh milk.
That's it. Everything's desi, no problem, all organic, fresh.
Theek. I think the content, again, even I was making notes out of it. And thank you, Taher, for these amazing tips. And I think people have very, very interesting questions. Do you mind if
Chalo.
we move to the questions?
I
right now?
love questions.
Because they have very, very interesting ones. And before we
Chalo.
move to the questions, there's some people who just mentioned that we've just joined. We don't know what's happening. We didn't get the notification. So I just want to remind you that below the screen, when you're watching, there's a red icon, which is subscribe. If you click on it, and there's a bell icon. If you click on the bell icon, whenever any live video plays or any video that I upload, you'll get a notification. So there's a lot of times we miss the video, even we want to watch something, but we miss it because we don't get reminded because we're so busy with other things. WhatsApp doesn't remind you, right? So आप उस पे कर दें, आपको ही फायदा हो जाएगा. दूसरी videos भी आप देख लेंगे. I have other videos with Tahir bhai on CV writing, on presentation skills, which is gold, I think, coming from his experience.
That's it.
And yeah,
That is no more. CV writing, interview skill, present. These are my three specialities. इसके अलावा मैं कुछ करता नहीं. So I'm confident that what I'm sharing with you is practical, is real, and inshallah will make a proper difference to your professional and personal lives. इसके अलावा मैं करता नहीं.
कोचिंग भी करते हैं बहुत अच्छी. अगर आप लोगों को कोचिंग भी हो, I think that's
खबरदार.
Yeah, so let's start with the questions.
Chalo.
How much time do you want to give it to this? 15 minutes?
Well, to be honest, you can take as long as you want. I've still got 40 minutes available of my day.
Okay. So 14 minutes. Okay.
40 मिनट है हमारे पास.
40. Okay. That's lovely. Okay. If you're fine with it, because I committed 1 hour to you, so I just wanted to ask.
Oh yes, Sarji, you can ask me anything.
Okay. So Tala Ahmed asked how to acquire the job at your desire. Okay, so I think this is a very different question from the topic. But this is the first question, Tala, and I mentioned that let's be specific to the topic. But it's fine. I'll answer you. But after this, let's just move to other questions. Anil Merchant, very good topic chosen today. Thank you. A lot of people saying salam, hi to you, Tahir bhai.
Walaikum salam.
So our favorite person from Morocco is Ufay.
Hey, Morocco, كيف حالك حبيبي? Is it Habibi or Habiba?
So thank you so much for your efforts, Mr. Tahir. I would like to ask you first, should we put our hands on the table or under interviews? It's confusing.
वो पे हमने address कर लिया, because I actually saw that question and I addressed it.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting. Mustafa Khan asks, if you're off to a bad start in first 5 minutes of the interview, do you believe the impression has been made and won't go away even if you perform good in the rest of the interview?
That's a good question. It depends. Mustafa, it depends on the individual who's interviewing you. Like on a hard interview is different. Like the fact is, they do start forming an opinion and it takes a bit of time to overcome it. So it all depends on the interviewer. Okay, that's all I can say. कोई लोग शायद 10 मिनट के बाद उनको सोच फिक्स हो जाता है, कोई 1 मिनट होता है, कोई 2 मिनट होता है, कोई 30 seconds होता है. So it all depends on the interview. One thing is for sure, If you don't make a good impression, then you're up a steep curve, very steep curve. Then it will become very difficult. So that's what I want to say.
And just to add, as Taher mentioned earlier, he gave an example of interviewing an Irish person. He didn't have the great first impression of him, but later he mentioned how he got the job.
Yes. And he excelled and became the national account director. I became his mentor over the years, and he did very well, very well. I took the chance because I saw certain qualities and I just kept going and thought,
Great. So there's another question by Mehtab. She's a regular viewer. If a person is soft-spoken by default, then how can they adjust their tone of voice to have an impact?
Oh, Mehtab, is this how you speak? No problem. Dekho, if you have a soft, so what kind of job is Mehtab looking for? You know, this also obviously.
So since I know her, I will just mention it. She's into teaching, so she teaches at a school, and that's her field.
What age groups?
I think it's between 25 to 35, probably.
So that's not school, is it?
What age group is she teaching?
Yeah.
Oh, kids. I was like, how should I answer this question?
Well, that's not bad. If you have a soft voice in front of children, it's probably quite good, no? If you ask me. If you have a soft voice, you can improve your voice through voice exercises. Okay, which I can share with Omar, and Omar can maybe share some of the exercises with people. Okay, you can improve the strength of your voice. However, obviously, if you're smiling, if you've got good gesturing, if you're giving eye contact, all these things will start obviously showing you in a positive way, in an assertive way, in all in a good way. It shows you're confident, but you can improve your voice. Okay, so someone like Mehtab's case, she may want to start practicing exercises to improve her voice impact, strength of her voice.
Great. So there's another question which is very pertinent. Fazila asks, if a girl wears hijab coat, then how does the dressing put an impression?
Wow, it's a very interesting question. I ask this question very often to a lot of managers who I interview. And generally, it's not an issue. But there will always be people with bias. Obviously, this is a religious reason, right? Or maybe for some people, it could be cultural. If the person is biased, there's nothing you can do really about your clothing, other than just prove to them through the way you speak, through your examples, through your experience, through your credentials, through your competence, and hopefully that will take precedent. But there'll always be people who have elements of bias, whether you like it or not. So if you're going to wear it, you're going to wear it. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it's pressed. Make sure the colors are neutral. They're not too strong. Okay? That's more important.
Great. So Ufa is with us again. I'm sorry about this question. No, you don't have to be sorry. You can ask anything related to this topic. But for girls who don't wear hijab, should we tie our hair or not, or it does not affect?
Should we tie our hair? Should we tie our hair? Well, I'm not a grooming expert about tying your hair, but I'm pretty sure, Omar, didn't you have long hair once?
Yeah, but I comb it properly. Like, it shouldn't look dirty. That's what I use.
I think that's the main. I think that's probably what the sister is saying, is it? No, hold on. I'm sorry about this question, but for girls, this gentleman, I'm sure this person said he's a Habibi, but he's asking a question for females. But the question is, listen, if you got to look neat. I think that's probably what the person is referring to, yeah? You got to look neat. If it means you comb it and you tie it and it looks neat, then yes, of course. Neatness. And if it is long, then obviously is it combed, is it straight, or is it curly? If it's curly, is it under control? Neatness, cleansiness. Oh, no, I'm a girl. Okay. All right, the Habiba. So neatness, okay, young lady, neatness. Keep it neat and clean.
So, Taiva, this question is a bit confusing, but I have another question based on this question. So, this person is asking PK125 Productions, how to identify subtle jokes? But which brings to another question, which I think people haven't talked about yet. People, is it? I think it's advisable to use humor, but you have to be very careful as well. So, I know it's not related to your body language and voice, but since it's here, can you recommend something on that as well?
Give me an example.
So, for example, the interview is talking about something. They ask you a question. Okay, how was your day? And you start with a joke, and that joke could be normal to the person or not normal. Like you don't have a rapport with the person, but it might be an extreme joke or something that is not funny, and then it
Okay,
spoils your reputation.
right. So therefore, at the initial stage, it's better to avoid jokes, direct jokes. If you want to share a humorous story, that's not an issue necessarily, but jokes, you don't even go. Because the other person might not find it funny and then you've had it. So it's better to be, if in doubt, leave it out. Okay? If in doubt, leave it out, but maybe you can use a humorous story, an incident, which is what they're asking, right?
Okay. So Jamal says, I like Tahir Bhai's sense of humor.
Well, yes, that's what my children say, yes. Any boss? Yeah.
Abdul Kadur, some people,
अपने game खेलता है मेरे नाल बैठे and he's playing on what are you playing PlayStation?
you also play with them then. That's the new way to go. Do you play?
Yeah,
Do you
he's
play
15.
FIFA or
He's 15 and he's taller than me. And you know how tall I am.
yeah, you're 6'5" or 6'4"? Am I
Yeah,
right?
मेरा लंबा है.
Wow.
अच्छा.
So, yeah, Abdul Kadur, some people touch their face a lot. I think the
Yeah,
question is,
like this, yeah, keep touching.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah, some people do touch their face. It's better to avoid touching the face. Generally, you find a lot of people who are a bit uncomfortable, they're a bit edgy, or they're not maybe giving a clear message, or people start touching, a lot of touching. We face touch karte hain, koi body no touch karte hain. So that's why I always say keep your hands there together, so you avoid going here. Okay.
okay. Next one. What about video interviews considering the current situation? So, just
In
to
principle,
rephrase,
everything what I'm saying is the same as video interviews. The only difference is you're not going to be shaking hands or walking in, but the principles are all the same. Obviously, if you're doing video interviews, for example, with hand gestures, you can't be doing big ones because no one can then see them, right? Look, if I keep doing this, everyone's going to think, "Hey, kya kar rahe hai?" Oh, I'm in pain from weight training. Is the darad ho raha hai. So keep your hands closed. Keep it shoulder width, okay? Shoulder width. Shoulder width. Okay, shoulder. Remember, just remember your shoulders. Keep your hands within your shoulders.
okay. So Ufay has another question. What to do when a recruiter starts laughing or smiling in a weird way?
Well, I mean, a weird way. I mean, what does that mean? Well, if a recruiter smiles, then you smile. If they laugh, then you laugh. But I'm not sure what you mean by weird.
Oh, how to overcome the nervousness? I think
Well,
I was
we
in
discussed
detail.
that. You remember? Remember what I said, Omar?
Yeah, so exercising in the morning, taking breaths through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. I think not having coffee, is it suggested? Like a lot of people have coffee and tea.
Okay, that's an excellent question. Dekho, any drink which dries your mouth is better avoided. Coffee, tea. Hamza, can you put the light, please? Coffee, tea, fizzy drinks, eating anything which is going to dry your mouth, even eggs dries your mouth. So you should avoid this. Water is the best. Pani. You can't beat water.
All right, Fazila has another question. If an interview eye contacting directly into eyes with the interview, then how to react or reply? I think what she means is, if the interviewer is being a bit creepy and just staring into your eyes, like into your soul, what do you do? This has happened with me.
Well, it's happened to me as well. When I was a university student, I was getting interviewed by high-powered sales guys in Europe. Yeah, they just stare me in the eye. Um, the main thing is you keep calm. Bali cheesy hai. If they do start looking creepy, staring at, as I said, don't look at them direct in the eye. Just look at them around the area, but don't look at them in the eye. वो बेशक आपको देखे. If you start looking in, that's when it becomes creepy for you. But if you focus around the area, then the creepiness will get minimized. So it'll be minimal creepiness.
I have an interesting question, however, I don't know if I should take it or not. But Aisha summarized this very beautifully. Breath, good night's sleep, like the things that you mentioned: light breakfast, not having fizzy drinks, plenty of water, exercising in the morning, visualizing positive results. Oh, that's great.
I've just seen a comment. Basit Ali Saab has written, I suggested water with lemon. Yes, that's correct. So same principle before an interview. Drink water with lemon. Lemon keeps your mouth moist, okay? Keeps all this area moist and fresh. So well done, Basit Ali Sahib Ji.
So there's a question: why do interview ask questions like what animal?
Oh, I'm a lion.
What?
Why is that? Because I want to scare you. Oh, I'm a chicken. I'm a chicken. Because I like to wake up early in the morning.
I've never been asked this question, but this is interesting.
Yes,
like this is learning for me.
I have been asked this question when I was at college, and I always used to say this. Now I'm just giving you an answer, but I'm talking like 30 years ago, 31 years ago. So I would say I'm a lion. I'm a lion because I'm courageous. I am strong. This is how I used to reply. And I'm from that part of the world where the British could not conquer. Do the ye kya baat kar rahe hai? Okay, yes, I'm from the northwest frontier in those days, originally. Oh, and they used to love this back in those days. पुराने ज़माने में मैं ये कहता था, लेकिन ये फजूल सवाल है. If Fazul Swala, it's frankly speaking. So if you are going to get asked this question, keep it no problem. Think of an animal, think of the positive traits of the animal, and then relate it to yourself. Gal Hatam, very easy. Easy question, no problem. As they say in Pakistan, no tension. Oh, Sarji, no tension.
So we were talking about slangs earlier. So
yeah,
you know, excessively should be avoided too. Yeah.
Yes, this is slang. This is also known as filler. In UK में हमारे जो पाकिस्तानी इंडियन वाले लोग सारे इन इट बहुत कहते हैं इन इट हर सेंटेंस में इन ब्राव. In fact, मैं आपको मजे की चीज बताता हूँ. Some people, they go into interviews and they say to the interviewer, brav. They're so used to speaking this slang with their friends. वो interview कह रहे हैं, brav कहते हैं.
Yeah, like since you mentioned this and you were asking about slang, this one time I was having an interview and the person said, "Yaar, bhai, samjho na. This is what happened with me." I'm like, okay, bhai. So yeah.
वो आदत बन जाती है ना. When it becomes your habit, you cannot stop it. You cannot stop habit. It's very difficult.
So I don't know if you've heard this slang. So jugaad. So this person, he came in the interview and he's like, I was trying to. There was a behavioral interviewing the questions that I was doing, and in the end he was like, "Sir, it was a perfect jugaad. So I did this, and then I did this." So he used jugaad like it was part of the English language.
So therefore, again, articulation is important. So going back to the topic, the way you say things and the way you explain things for your articulation, बहुत important है.
There's another. My boss doesn't like my body language. I'm weak and introvert at the same time. Allah help me. No, you can help yourself. Obviously, Allah will help you.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Tie
don't
your
worry.
camel, spontaneous tuber, tie your camel, and he will help you. Pal aapka camel te tie karo na. First, understand what is positive body language and start practicing. That's tying your camel. Then you leave the rest to him.
And the same person writes, most senior employees are not cooperative. They should listen to this lecture. Please forward the link to them. If you feel in your organization this is a problem, behavioral interviewing is a problem, then you know who to contact.
Oh, nahi, sorry. Ye kisne kaha? Most senior employees are not cooperative. He means cooperative, I think.
Yeah.
They should listen to this lecture. All spontaneous. Idi umar kitni hai? Is spontaneous working at the moment? Or is he just YouTubing it?
I don't know.
You know, push karda kya hai? What's his job? And don't mention the company name, but what does he do and his age?
If you're still live spontaneous, which I think you are, can you write your age and what do you do?
Yeah.
Till then,
Yeah.
I'll just take care of the question.
So spontaneous, on a serious note, Deco. The fact is, if you have strong non-verbal and verbal skills, everybody will be impressed. Everybody will be impressed. In fact, on a lighter note, if you have strong verbal and non-verbal skills, you will have no problem getting a rishta. Male and female. Think about that. Omar, think about that, young man.
Yeah, I'll definitely incorporate. I made the notes. I'll incorporate this. And
Exactly, because next time you go for potential rishta and you start smiling, don't forget me, okay?
Okay. That's an interesting comment. Taher, by window opening has made you open up too.
Window open. Obviously, he wasn't listening to the initial stage. Oh, I've been going full blast for 1 hour 12. Iki at it. What kind of a name is that? A, B, C, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. Iki.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, so in another session that we had, Taher specifically mentioned your email addresses shouldn't be like this. Okay, if you write it on your CVs, please write your names or a year or something, but don't write this.
You know, I got a funny feeling I know who that is, who's writing that. But I won't mention. But I think I know who it is.
Some of the great sessions. Okay, if you don't know answer of any question, then what should be your body language? Is
I don't know. Just like now, I don't know. There we go. There's your answer. Real life. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. Open your hands, shrug your shoulders. Pata nahi.
Yeah, Moz has a question. When the interviewer asks a question and I need some time for thinking, what should be the relevant body language?
Excellent question. So when you're thinking, okay, again, exactly, slightly forward, hands here, all right. Looking at the person, but again, not in the eye. And even if you're thinking at the initial stage, it's okay to look in the air, because when people look in the air, they're thinking. Koi masla nahi. Again, the main thing is the interviewer gives you time. That's to be fair to you. But whatever happens, don't jump into the answer. Take your time. जब बंदा आपको एक सवाल पूछेगा, okay? अब बंदा आपको सवाल पूछेगा, you don't have to give an immediate answer. Think about the example. Think about the story you're going to share. Think of your best example, behavioral interviewing. Umar, behavioral interviewing. Give me an example of when you had to lead a team. Take your time, don't rush it. And then you start talking.
Thank you. Basit Ali, this is my 5th week of isolation at home in Italy and I'm really enjoying this session. Basit?
Oh, Basit Ali Sahaba, I bet you Basit is from district Gujarat.
Basit,
Ask him, am I right? Is he from district Gujarat, around these areas? Mandi, Baudin, Chakwar? Because Italy wale log bahut udhar rehte. I might be wrong, but I've taken a chance.
Yeah.
Let's see if I'm right. Acha. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Who's this Taher? Taher's writing some strange things here.
I'll just come to his comment. So Adil says, "Hi Omar, what an energy in today's guest. Amazing personality. Can we have more sessions with him? You can ask Taher bhai if he's willing to do sessions. I just love
It's from Rawalpindi. So okay, Taher, not too far.
Okay. I'm just looking at the Is tie with dress code important or not?
Good question. Dekho, whenever you go for an interview, again, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generally, companies like it if you wear, obviously, smart attire. Now, is a tie smart attire? For most companies, most people do wear a tie. ऐसे companies भी होते हैं, they don't mind as long as you got a shirt and a jacket. But always take a tie with you. Take a tie with you. But put it on. If you notice that when you walk around the building or in the offices, no one's wearing one. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं, they wear a tie. Interview कहता है, you can take your tie off. ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं. Generally, go in with a tie as a general rule. What would you say, Omar? What about Angro? Do they like it? Generally, is it seen as favorable, a good thing?
So in our office culture, ties, no one wears ties actually. So it's even if the interviewee comes in without a tie, and even if he or she is wearing a blazer, we're fine with it. We actually don't. But for banks, my friends, like if they go for an interview in a bank, it's mandatory. Like if you're not wearing a tie, you'll be looked very differently. Like you'll have a bad impression.
Right. So the rule is wear it because there's no harm in wearing it.
Exactly.
It's better to be safer than sorry. I know people in Engro, a lot of the senior people, they like to see people wearing ties. People who I've trained, for example. We actually look at it, they don't mind. So it's better to stay safe, whether you're going for ICI, some people like to see wearing ties, National Foods May, UEP May, United Energy, Tetra Pak, some organizations, they won't mind, but better to wear it and then just see how it goes. Don't take the chance. Why take a chance?
And just to add on to that, there are a lot of people who say, should we wear a blazer or not wear a blazer? And exactly what Taher bhai said, there's no harm. It adds to your personality. Like I always wear a blazer. I don't know what the culture is like. I don't know if they wear jeans or a t-shirt or a polo. I have to look my best. And obviously a good tie with a nice suit or a blazer, you always look fine. So Aksa says, I just missed half of the session. That's why Aksa and everyone else, I'm saying it again, just press subscribe below or the bell button next to it. आप लोगों को notification आ जाया करेगी so that you not miss it. It was golden session, I would say, with Taher bhai, and it will be recorded. It will be on my YouTube if you want to see it again. We'll just take some more questions, and if Taher bhai, can we take some more questions?
Yeah. Still got 20 minutes.
Okay, great. Because there are a lot of questions, and I'm just filtering through them. You can have water. Again, I just had to take this comment. Umar, I've just joined the session due to some work. After listening to him, I think I've missed my heartbeat. Really amazing personality. Wow, Taher bhai, you have fans over here.
sir ji, thank you, sir ji. ਅਸੀਂ बुढ़े हो गए कर करके बुढ़े हो गए तक मेरी दाढ़ी चिट्टी हो गई है.
Ilyas Khan, please share some ending points of an interview. Body language when you're ending. So is there a specific body language when you're ending?
Nahin, dekho, your body language should be consistent throughout the interview. So, but it's important that when you finish, that you look even more confident. You really believe in what you are saying. Because when you come, icing on the cake, na. So ऐसे लोग होते हैं, some people they go in the interview, they're like, whoa, दरमियान में उनका फुस निकल जाता है. And at the end they're like this. Because it's some interviews are long, they're tiring, or they're mentally draining, or people realize that मेरा game खराब हो गया. But all is finished strongly, upright, smiling, reiterating why you want the position, reiterating your skills, your competencies, your personality, your profile. Okay? Gesticulating. So all the positive things you did at the beginning, you should also do at the end. But I repeat, your body language should be consistent throughout the interview. And by the way, If an interviewer offers you water, please take it and drink it. You will appreciate me later when you realize, acha.
And so another question as well related to this. So if the interviewer initially asks you, would you like tea or coffee? So what is the best way to say no to them without offending them? Like that's all.
No, they never get offended. What they sugar karte hain, and then they don't have to make it for you. Now, on a serious note, always take the water, okay? Because firstly, water calms you down, water relaxes you, keeps your mouth nice and moist, okay? And nobody's going to mind if you drink water, right? They don't have to make the water. Pani te tyaar hai.
Or chai or coffee?
I personally, as I said, coffee and tea normally makes your lips dry. So it will affect your speech. Maine abhi chai piya. My throat is really dry now. Big time. My lips are dry. My throat is getting dry and dry. If I drank water, it'd have the opposite effect. So take the water. It's good for you. It keeps you fresh.
This is an interesting question by Zohaib. How can we cover nervousness with non-verbal gestures? Should we cover nervousness?
You can't cover everything. It will come out eventually. It will come out eventually. That's why आपकी जो तैयारी stage है ना बहुत important है, because जो आप तैयारी करेंगे, the more you prepare, then the less will be visible of nervous gestures. The less your hands will shake, the less you will sweat, the slower you will speak. The posture will be more stronger. Your eye contact will be more consistent. So there are good people who act as well. Actors, the whole thing, everyone's can act. But how long can you act for? How can we cover nervousness with non-verbal gestures? Well, all the positive gestures I've just explained to you will generally come out when you are not nervous, as a general rule.
And he has another question. How about putting up a big size headphone during online interview? Is it recommended, or these headphones are fine?
It's good you asked this. I was using, where are my ones? I mean, I generally have smaller ones. I generally don't like the big fat ones. Okay. I personally feel uncomfortable. They could be a distraction as well. They could be a distraction as well for the other person, because if you've got a big fat headphone on your head, that starts becoming a distraction when someone is talking. So I generally would rather use the smaller ones, or the poddy ones, less of a distraction. That's a very practical tip there. Very good practical tip. Good question. अच्छा सवाल उसने पूछा. Zohaib Qazi Sahib ji.
So I know you've mentioned this before, but this is the fourth question relating to this. How not to sound monotonous in an interview / presentation? So they mean the fluctuation part. What are the techniques would you recommend to follow or practice?
Well, if you raise your voice slightly, you're less monotonous. If you smile, you are less monotonous. You find people who gesticulate are less monotonous. You find people who use emphasis in their speech are less monotonous. There you go. There's 4 things.
What is it? Okay. I'll just take 4 questions more.
Which
interview asked what you don't have. So mostly for the viewers, mostly the questions are repetitive, and I've already answered them. So if you've joined late, you can probably go through the video, and I'll just see if there's a different question. If I don't wear shirt under blazer and look like Ram Jane, so maybe they will hire me. I think he's just posted this for fun. I can't type it. Yeah. Can you?
Sorry, did you ask me a question? Sorry, something's wrong with the system. Dobara pucho?
No, so I think I don't even know if this is a question or just a comment. If I don't wear shirt under blazer and look like Ram Jane, so maybe they will hire me. No, you have to wear a shirt under your blazer to enter.
Who is Ram Jane?
I think it's some Bollywood character probably.
This Talha is a bit of a character. I've noticed some of his questions are pretty interesting.
Yeah, so probably. Yeah.
If we don't wear shirt under blazer, chalo Talha, aap ye kaam karna, put a banana on. You're gonna stick a banana in a jumper and let me know how you get on.
You mentioned that having strong matter is not as important as the body language. But I was questioned by CEO that why do you want to go for marketing?
Oh, hold on, hold on. Isne kya likha, Tahir? You
Tahir
mentioned
bhai,
that having a strong matter is not as important as the. When did I say that? What does he mean by this?
so I think when you mentioned that body language and voice is very important, he mistook it as strong matter is not that important, but that's not, yeah.
Nay. Hassan Sajjad, listen to me carefully. दोनों चीज important है. What I said was, ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं जिसके पास strong matter है, लेकिन they cannot convey it in a way where the other person gets impressed. ऐसे लोग होते हैं जिसके पास strong matter नहीं, लेकिन उनके पास strong delivery होता है, then impresses the other person. But if you have both, then you are Superman or Superwoman. Hope that clears, Hassan. Hope that makes sense.
That way, sometimes interview starts in English and then comes straight into Urdu, like family के बारे में बताएं. So I think you mentioned previously that whatever language they speak, you also follow them.
Okay, if the interview is uncomfortable, they're not quite sure because वो English में पूछ रहे हैं, वो उर्दू में बात कर रहे हैं, English में पूछ रहे हैं. You can actually say, would you like me to explain to you in Urdu or English? आप पूछ लो बच्चा, कोई मसला नहीं. Especially if they're giving you mixed signals. ऐसे लोग होते हैं, they say, so tell us about your family. अच्छा family का चीज बताओ. ऐसे भी होता है ना? They say in English and then they say in Urdu. So you can ask them, would you like me to explain to you in English or Urdu? Don't know. Ask them. It's better to be safe, no?
Great. Great. So I think that's with the questions, and mostly all the questions are either repetitive, so you can probably see the video again and you'll get the answer. Tahir bhai explained everything in a lot of details for 45 minutes, and a lot of answers are there. Tahir bhai, there's one other query that is coming again and again, and I think it's the right forum to clear it out. What is the right way for people to approach you? So I think LinkedIn, you have a very restricted profile now because you
I
have.
can't. Yeah, it's a bit difficult for me to. I mean, I do add people in. The way you can get me is first explain who you are, why you want me to add you in. It's only because I have quite a lot of interaction and I can't physically keep control of it. Aur koi baat nahi. I did have it open recently. I got such a big inflood, I couldn't respond back because it is near impossible for me. So mera kaam bhi chalta because LinkedIn is my main tool I use to interact with my clients. So LinkedIn has traditionally been just for me and my clients. And now a lot of the youngsters have been adding me and stuff, and they constantly emailing me, firing messages. And मैंने कोशिश किया and I've helped as many people as I can, but it's getting a bit too much for me to handle. So maybe people can, if they want to ask me questions, and if you don't mind, Umar, you can maybe take the questions and encipher them. If there's anything you can't do or you can't answer, then you can send them over to me, and I will try to address. That's the best I can offer. That's the best I can offer for now, and I'm being honest, you know. So you can be the go-between, and I'll be more than happy to do it in a controlled way. It becomes near impossible for me.
Yeah. So previously, Tahir bhai, he's always been very restricted on LinkedIn because that's how he interacts with clients. But in the last session, a lot of people are requesting, so he was like, okay, I'll remove that restriction. But obviously, Tahir bhai is a very busy man. If he's giving us time over here.
Oh, no, don't keep saying that. I'm never busy to help. देखो, this is the nature of my work, right? Coaching मैं करता हूँ, helping होता है ना. Training मैं करता हूँ is helping, right? what we're doing now is helping. Some of it's paid, some of it's not paid, but it's ultimately helping. At the end of the day, everything I've developed, my skills, okay, my competencies from when I was at school, through my sporting activities, where I did a lot of sports, through my academics, through my work, through all my experiences, I want to share, because at the end of the day, Dekho, we don't know how long we're going to be alive. Maybe that one thing you share with someone could change someone's life, and then it will have a knock-on effect. Okay, and for me, that means a lot to me as a human. And if I get any opportunities to do these things, and as you know, I visit when I come to Pakistan, I visit a lot of universities. I've even done some volunteer work with Engro who tech karo. Recently, I went to Liari. Now, not many people can claim that, having lived in England and been to Liari, working with some of the young girls there. And then Usman Institute of Technology is another place in Gulshan Iqbal in Karachi. I'm just giving examples, and I've been to other universities as well, but I also try to go to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So I'm never busy for this type of work.
Yeah, but again, I can vouch for that. Taher has been helping me for the past years, and I'm just fortunate enough to have met him through Engro and through mutual friends.
Well, don't you remember we properly met in Barcelona?
And yeah, we properly met in Barcelona. It was a company trip, a retreat, and I was there. And Taher bhai, he just wanted to meet. Like he made the effort. We were at some place, and it was a lockdown over there as well for some, I don't know, it was an Independence Day or what. And Taher bhai just made his way to meet us, and just to meet us, just to meet and greet. Like we could have done the same thing in Pakistan.
Do you remember the name of the restaurant? आपको ये रेस्टोरेंट का नाम याद है?
मैंने आपको गलत बता दिया था इतना नहीं, मैंने आपको सही बताया था, वो बंद हो गया था, फिर हम दूसरी जगह चले गए थे.
We ended up in Bambi. And the area was called Champla, La Champla.
Yeah, and it has been like, it's always wonderful to Taher to interact with you. Even like he gives me honest advice, he gives me like personal counseling, and I'm always thankful to him. And it's just I think all of us, the viewers and myself, we're just lucky that we got to listen to him for this past 1.5 hours. And trust me, there are a lot of things, like he mentioned, will change our lives, because the way we interact, the way we go for interviews, the way, even if you watch his previous videos, the webinars that we've done on presentation skills, on CV writing, everything is a small step towards your job, and it will help you definitely. So Taher bhai, again, thank you so much. I think the people loved it. They've already started writing comments and testimonials over here. So people, if you really liked it, please drop me a message. I can convey the same to Taher bhai as well. If you liked it, it just motivates me, and it motivates, I'm sure it motivates Taher bhai as well.
I want to just finish by saying this. Verbal and non-verbal are two skills which you can actually improve on. Bas. It's up to you if you want to improve or not. Ye aapki marzi hai. Lekin it can be improved. And just to reiterate the importance of these two elements of communication. If I am getting hired by by companies to coach senior people at C level, vice president level, director level, dunya mein, then it should tell you the importance of this skill. If you can manage to develop this skill now, it's going to be phenomenal for your career, professionally, and obviously it's going to be fantastic for your personal development. ये जो दो skills है, मैंने खुद master training लिया on body language in London many years ago, just to see where I was. So I also keep developing myself, and I keep trying to reiterate, or improve my skill set. So if you have that same mindset, inshallah, you will always do well, inshallah. Wherever you are in the world.
Thank you so much once again. I think that's a perfect ending note. And I hope we'll back with another session soon. Thank you guys. Hope to see you soon again. Thank you.
Take care. Allah Hafiz, everyone. God bless.